Last week, Pearl came out. It is the prequel to the film X, which came out in March, I think, directed by Ty West. This one's also directed by Ty West. X was about a group of porn filmmakers and actors who went to rent out a cabin on a ranch somewhere. They went out there with the intentions to go shoot a porno without telling owners of the farm. In that, the actress, Mia Goth, played both the young girl Maxine as well as the older lady murderer, Pearl. For the most part, I liked X. I liked the 70s aesthetic of it. I actually thought it was pretty creepy and had some kind of interesting and dark things to say about like growing old and fearing death, not being comfortable with the body you're in because it's failing you and not having the same freedoms that you used to be able to have. I thought that was a very interesting perspective on it. I thought parts of it was pretty creepy. I thought the deaths probably could have been a bit more exciting for what it was, but overall I really did enjoy the film. 70s aesthetic carried through very well, giving it that like Texas Chainsaw kind of feel and kind of look to it. So then after X, Ty West put a little teaser trailer at the end of the movie without any advertising beforehand, anything like that. My friends and I always just stay until the end of the credits usually, just how we do it. At the end of it, there's a little teaser trailer for Pearl, which is a prequel based upon the elderly woman in X about her life as a younger woman and how she kind of became who she is and how she ended up being where she is and the person that she is. And that just kind of came out of nowhere, and then it later said coming out in September. And I think, as I said earlier, this came out in March. Very quick turnaround, and then they did that again at the end of Pearl with Maxine, which is about, again, Mia Goth's character Maxine in the 80s now in Los Angeles. X had a very like 70s aesthetic in how it looked and how it felt and what the kind of film it was trying to replicate. Pearl, on the other hand, is set, I think, in 1918, but instead of it replicating that kind of style, because I don't think Ty West would be able to get away with making a silent horror film in black and white. I don't think any studio would let him do that, but instead this was shot with a very 50s, early 60s classic Hollywood style filmmaking. So bright colors, lovely soundtrack, it's a very Douglas Sirk feeling film. In the heightened technicolor, the big bold brash texts that kind of wipe away the big dramatic scenes and all that. In this world exists Pearl, who works on this farm with her German parents, her father that has been affected by the influenza virus that was going on during the time, and her very strict mother who believes in a very particular set of way about going about life. And she's very matter-of-fact about how you live, how you exist, and how you manage to put food on the table for your family. That is her perspective on how to live life. Pearl dreams of being a big actress. She wants to be a star. She's obsessed with going to the movies. When her mom would give her money for her dad's medicine and go down to town, she would take half of it and then just watch a movie. Those old silent dance movies like the Broadway Melody. Kind of strange that they lent so much into the 50s aesthetic considering the time frame, but it is what it is. I understand why they did it. So that's what she wants, and she grows more and more uncomfortable with her home life and more upset with her strict mother that doesn't let her do anything she wants. A big audition for a church musical dance group that she wants to audition for that her mom forbids her from doing it. In between this, she meets this very like rugged, sexy, bohemian film projectionist who travels from town to town and projects movies and does all this kind of stuff, who is trying to encourage her more like lustful, artsy interest, that part of her life. He is the force that is pushing her towards that, while her mother is the one that's trying to pull her down. And on top of all this, she is married, but her husband has gone off to fight in World War I. He's not around. She's been alone forever. She's incredibly sexually frustrated because of this. It's just kind of all heads up into this person that is just not happy and not comfortable. On top of that, Pearl is just not okay. She is just not a normal person. She definitely has a peg loose or two, which you can tell early on. There's a scene of her just murdering a goose that just happens to walk into the barn while she's talking to her animal friends. So that's kind of the pretty early on inflection showing that this kid's not totally great. The rest of the film then tries to go into a bit more of a slashery detail. Of course it does. Not really much of a spoiler because if you've seen X, you know what Pearl is about. You know what Pearl's character is like. So you know there's going to be murders. You know there's going to be deaths. You know there's going to be some creepy stuff that goes on. There's definitely some really good creepy imagery in the film, I think. They do that pretty well, and I think spending a lot of time with the characters at first, trying to build their relationships, trying to have that Douglas Sirk melodrama kind of feel while still having the creepiness come underneath have to undercut it was the best way about it, because then you do actually form somewhat of a connection to it. By the point shit starts to hit the fan, then when the characters die or when characters do things, this actually means something, not just random events happening. You actually give a shit. Mia Goth is probably the best part of the movie, I'd say. I think Ty West does a great job overall. I think the cinematography looks amazing. I think it's so crisp, it's so beautiful. He nails the aesthetic of the Douglas Sirk movies. Besides that, Mia Goth is the one that really carries this. Her performance is fucking incredible. She has this one scene in the middle, which is about this 5-minute uncut monologue where she just talks tearfully to her friend sitting across the table with the camera right here on her face, and zero cuts just goes through the whole thing. You can just see every single layer of emotion on her face, and she manages to fucking crush that. There's a scene that runs over the credits as well, where she gives a certain facial expression, which is just pitch perfect. I really liked Pearl. I think I actually might like it better than X, which is, you know, I didn't expect it because I actually really liked X a lot, but I think that Mia Goth actually gives an even better performance in this one. I think the visual style is very strong, and I think character development is better in Pearl than it was in X, which I think X actually did a pretty good job, things considered, but just being a slasher film, but I think Pearl's better. I'd say I'd give Pearl 7 out of 10. I really liked it. Really, really enjoyed it.